Yes, guys, welcome back to my channel. We've got another trade breakdown today, again on GBP JPY because that's my specialty pair. This time it's a 300 pips short from Wednesday to 18th of January. So yeah, if we get straight into it, as you can see, there was a huge drive up to this resistance, and that is because on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning at around 2-3 a.m. the Bank of Japan released a statement on their monetary policy, and that caused, as you can see from the daily closure, it caused about a 420 pip drive. Shout out to all you smokers out there. So yeah, that statement caused a lot of volatility. And if we head back to the last time there was a Bank of Japan statement release, it was the 20th of December, and you can see exactly the same thing. Huge amount of volatility was generated. A single candle, 616 pips. If you look at the top to the bottom, 850 more or less, which is crazy. So if you're a GJ trader, make sure you watch out for those statements because they can cause a lot of volatility. Like I said, obviously I'm based in London. Japan is in Asia, obviously on the other side of the world. So the statement was released during the night. So I went to bed, price was here, woke up, price was all the way up here. So the reason why I ended up jumping in the short, which I'm going to break down a bit more in a bit. Also, if you want a bit more detail in terms of this statement, you can check out my Twitter at C1CG underscore. I've got a nice little thread on there explaining what happened, why it caused this, etc. So yeah, if you want more detail, check out my Twitter. Anyway, the reason why I started looking for shorts, a short position, is because on hourly, we had an instant bearish engulf, and on the 4 hourly, the 6 a.m. candle closed with a very large upper wick. This is obviously a very strong resistance as well, and this is the same resistance where I entered the 400 pip short from last week, so my previous video. Exact same resistance, so we already know this resistance is very strong. Now, the fact that price had drove up 400 pips and closed with such a large upper wick, and like I said on the hourly as well, we had an instant bearish engulf straight away. To me, I felt it was very significant that price had reacted the way it did instantly to the resistance. Now, straight away because of this, I started looking for moves back down to the mean. Now, I was also looking at this drive again because of the statement release. I was almost looking at it as like a false movement basically. And like I said, I just wanted to trade price back down to the mean and back from where it came from. So yeah, I woke up, saw the instant bearish engulf, the large upper wick on the 4 hourly, and I instantly started looking for shorts. Now if I zoom in to the hourly now, you can see the 7 a.m. candle was a gravestone doji as well. Now if you zoom into the 15, because this is when I looked for my entry, I usually always execute on the 50-minute because I can get much more precise entries. If you skip forward, this is exactly where I executed. So I jumped in a short from here. It was around here. I was in a tiny bit of drawdown at one point. My stop loss was around here. So this is where I executed on a resistance, which is what I try to aim for. I call this an optimal entry. I always try to look for optimal entries because I think I sort of explained in my previous video as well. If my entries are poor, my stop loss then has to be lower, which then means the likelihood of me getting stopped out or the position getting stopped out is increased. So I try to always get the best entries possible. And to me, that's by aiming for and making sure I enter at my key levels. So this is another reason why I use the 15, like I said, helps me get the precise entries. So I executed from here. Like I said, there was a bit of drawdown initially, and then straight after that, we had the bearish engulf, taking out the candle, and then price continued down from there. And you can see it took out the lows here. If you head out to the hourly now, you can see how my entry ended up being purely an upper wick on the hourly. Like I said, this is why I use the 15-minute because it helps to get those precise entries. Now, copy and paste this over to the 4 hour. What time is it? One more candle on the hourly. Again, obviously I'm using a replay tool on TradingView. You can see on the 4 hourly how beautiful that entry was as well, right on the resistance. Now again, I looked at this and this filled me with confidence that price was going to continue falling down to the liquidity, and this is where I aimed for, simply the liquidity and hourly level. And you can see on the 4 hourly I did have a level in here, but you can see with the upper wicks and the MAs and all of that in here, combining it with the hourly, I felt this was the most sensible area for my take profit. As I was saying, the reaction to the resistance filled me with confidence because of how sharp and instant it was. Like I said, we pushed up 400 pips up straight into my resistance, but the fact that price had instantly rejected it on the hourly and the 4 hourly with large upper wicks on both, as I said, that filled me with a lot of confidence that price was going to continue down. If you remember in my previous video as well, I mentioned how my initial take profit was 200 pips, and then I extended it down the further 200 pips to make it a 400 pip trade. That crossed my mind again with this trade, and I thought, maybe I can do the same thing here. But my thinking with this trade was price has already pushed up 400 pips. And if you look at it from market open, it pushed up around 530. So is it really likely that price is now going to drop another 400 to 500 pips after already pushing up 500 pips? This is GJ. It's definitely possible, but it's not likely. So I was thinking, as I said, it already pushed up 500, 400 overnight. Is it really likely that it's going to do the same thing in the opposite direction? And I thought, no. So let me just go for this area. And if anything, I can reanalyze once my take profit has been hit and look to continue down, jump in another trade, a second leg down to this area. So I went for the conservative option. And you can see, well, you will see in a bit that it worked out very nicely. And again, taking it back to the other video, if we look at the PA here compared to the PA from last week, stark difference in terms of the strength. Up here, this is where I entered from, if you remember. We had this 4 hour candle which instantly closed below the MAs and engulfed all of this PA. The scenarios were completely different. So that's one thing with trading you need to be good at, and that's taking it trade by trade and scenario by scenario. So yeah, that's something I did well here. Anyway, if you continue, you can see we had a large lower wick at the 10 a.m. close. But again, like I said, because of the instant reactions and rejections, I was confident. I just remained patient. And then the lower wick was more or less taken out with the next candle. Price just kept falling slowly. And then at 1 p.m, we had this breakout, 2 p.m. close, I should say. And then on the 4 hourly, very strong candle, didn't even have a lower wick, as you can see. And again, that filled me with a lot of confidence because it was a clear sign of strength. The fact that there was no lower wick as well took out this previous lower wick. As I said, at this point I just remained patient. We then price started to lose momentum a bit, as you can see in here. And then on a 4 hourly, we had a little hold at the support with the MAs. And then at this point, I drew on this hourly support. But I decided to remain patient because, like I said, the instant rejection and reaction from the resistance and the strength that was shown on the 4 hourly was more than enough for me to remain confident that price was going to continue down, at the very least, to this liquidity to the level on the hourly. So I remained patient. Price wasn't really bouncing off of the support much either, and if there was more bullish strength, I believe the reactions to this would have been a lot stronger upwards, but there was none of that really. And also at the time, the daily time frame, I can head to it now actually, it's not going to look the same, but what is actually at the time, the daily was like this, and it had a very large upper wick, as you can see. And that also filled me with a lot of confidence that price was going to continue, like I said, at the very least down to this level. Having such a large upper wick, it's likely that it's a clear sign of the bearish strength really. So yeah, I remained patient, and this was now overnight. I was off the charts, well, not overnight really, but I usually get off the charts at around 6 p.m. latest. So I wasn't really watching at this point. As I said, I was confident, so I just left the charts and let it do its thing. That's another thing you need to be good at with trading, making sure you're not on the charts all the time, just constantly staring at the candles and your screen, having time away and just letting price do its thing, especially if you're confident. So yeah, at this point, I just let price do its thing. You can see overnight, we then closed below the support and we made the breakdown to the level. And then eventually we had the take profit hit. And you can see on a 4 hourly, we initially had a little bounce, but again, like I said over here, the bullish reaction wasn't really that strong. And if there was that bullish strength, a reaction would have been a lot stronger. You can see the 4 hour eventually followed through as well. Obviously, like I said, this was overnight. I was sleeping at this point. This is 4 in the morning. So I woke up to a nice take profit hit. Like I said, it's because I was confident here. I remained patient. I'm telling you, a couple years ago, I probably would have panicked in here and closed the trade. But through my experience now, through my improvement in my skills and what have you, I've learned that in certain scenarios you can be patient, especially when the PA is suggesting so. Like I said, I had the daily upper wick, the strength of the reaction, the instantaneous rejection as well. So remain patient. And like I said, I woke up in the morning to this take profit hit. Now, like I said before, in terms of how I was initially thinking, maybe I can extend my take profit, but I decided against that and just to wait for this. If I press play from here, you can see what ended up happening. Price ended up climbing all the way back up and eventually pushed all the way back up to the resistance. So it was a good thing that I went for here rather than down here. And like I said, the difference in scenarios between this trade and my 400 pip trade from last week, the PA is completely different, and that's, you got to be able to recognize these things. Go for the conservative take profit when it's needed, when it's required, and if anything, reanalyze and then you can look to go again, like I did here. So yeah, as you can see, it was a 300 pip trade take profit. Very simple trade, to be fair. All it was drive up to resistance, rejection of resistance, price pushing back down to liquidity to then climb back up to the resistance. Very simple trade. And as you can see, for the week, it was more or less just bullish, simply following the higher lows, sorry. And like I said about this move here, about it being me looking at it almost as a false move, you can see really, if I were to draw in just a little channel, not going to be the most accurate, but oops, bang, let's just copy this over. If you just look at that, price was more or less within this range. And you can see price broke out this channel and came straight back down to the mean, like I said, which is what I was aiming for, back into the mean. And then price just continued as it was really. So yeah, decent trade. Like I said, very, very simple. Very simple. Very easy trade as well. Just the main thing for me in this was my entry and not being greedy and aiming for the sensible option, sensible area. So yeah, as I said as well, if you want more detail in terms of the Bank of Japan statement and why it caused this reaction, etc., like I said, head over to my Twitter. There's a detailed thread on it. So that's at C1CG underscore. All of my socials are the same: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, even my YouTube, all of them at C1CG underscore. So please check me out. And yeah, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have more videos on the way. Peace.